Welcome to the Surrey Hills. My name's Daniel Brown, and this is my horse who's called Dottie. She's half Suffolk and half Comtois, which is a French breed from the Alps. Suffolks were bred in Suffolk because they didn't have too much feather. You see the big Shire horses, they have lots of feather, and they would be not so good in the clay when they're working in the clay, and lots of clay in Suffolk. She's about 17.1 hands, and we measure hands by 4 inches to the hand. So she's 17.1. She's stocky, as you can see, nice broad chest at the front, and she's got a nice neck on her, not too much of a slope on her shoulder, so a good working horse. And if you can see, the back end of the horse is where the power is, and this is the powerhouse, and as you can see, she's nice and strong. In this country we have other breeds apart from the Suffolk, which are Clydesdales, Shires, and we have an English Percheron as well. So this is a half Suffolk, so it's half English. Anyway, I'm going to show you putting some harness on, and this is what we would use when we're going for a day's work in the field or putting the horse into a carriage. So what we've got here is called a collar, and the collar makes it comfortable for the horse on its shoulders. So I'll put this on the horse and then you can see how it sits onto the horse. Her colour is called chestnut, and there are different shades of chestnut, and her mane and her tail are flaxen, so they're like blonde. So I put this on straight through. Some people turn the collar, this fits over nicely. When we're measuring a collar to see if it fits, we measure from the top to the bottom, and that we measure in inches. So this is about a 27-inch collar. So you can see where her shoulder is there. It sits nicely on the shoulder. This has got a pad on it. It's nice and comfortable for the horse. It can work all day. This is the harness. This is all in one piece. Sometimes harness is split into 2 pieces. Put this on the shoulder. These wooden things here are called hames. And the hames go around the collar and they fit into the groove. And then the horse will work and keeps the horse comfortable. So I'll put the harness on. This is called breeching, that's going over her bum. And when she's in the carriage, this is how she brakes the carriage going downhill. So we put the hames on the collar, and then she can push into the collar. Just do that up. These are made out of hickory wood. This harness came from Canada. English collars, they're slightly different. They have a different type of cloth and padding underneath, and they wouldn't have this extra pad. So we do that up. So we've got the hames, the collar. This is what we pull from, it's the traces. Okay, so these long straps here are called the traces. We'll hook them up for the minute. This here is called the martingale. Put the girth around the horse. And that sits there, and that's usually when you're doing pairs work, the horse will break through the martingale. This is her breeching going on. So that's her with her harness on. I've got some lines here. When they're like rope lines like that, we call them lines. They're like plough lines. So if you're going to go out in the field, you use these lines. They're nice and light, so they don't hang heavy on the horse when you're working. And we can put these on and hang them up on the hames. Put the other side on. Horses would have worked from early, they would have had long days, early in the morning till late, and they would have been stopped at lunchtime and fed corn, oats, and had energy food put through them. But they would have done a full day, and they would have done different jobs. They would have done in the spring, they would have been harrowing, rolling, and later in the year, after the autumn and the harvest, they would have done ploughing, cultivating, and rolling seed back in. In those summer months they would have been out there getting the hay in on like a finger mower, and then a turner, and then a baler, and so they would have had to work very hard, but they would have been fine, they would have been very fit, and they would have been up for the job. A lot of these jobs finished sort of during the 60s. There was very few horses doing work. Most of them finished just after the war, where the tractors came in and took over the jobs. For a little while tractors and horses worked alongside. In forestry, they were still there till the 60s, but a little bit later in the forestry. Anyway, thank you for watching, and enjoy the rest of your videos you've got to watch. Bye bye.